Ok, benvenuti tutti al the AcuHealth NJ Nodcast. Oggi abbiamo Francesco e Tom e parliamo per arte marziale e recovery. So take it away, guys. Welcome to the show. Tom, tell us a little bit about
Thank
your
you for
place and
having
what you
us.
do.
I'm Tom Garrity, one of the coaches at B Team New Jersey. I'm his jiu-jitsu coach for his upcoming fight on Friday. Um, Went to Rutgers just as well as him. I ran the Rutgers Martial Arts, or not Rutgers Martial Arts, Rutgers Jiu-Jitsu Club with Francesco. He now runs the RUMA, the Rutgers Martial Arts Club. We luckily met at RUBJJ, and we've been good teammates ever since. We're here because when it comes to recovery and the little things that it takes to win a fight, I'd say like acupuncture is one of those important things that you need to have prior to a fight. We're a little too late, a little too close to the cusp of his fight. I wish we did this earlier.
Well, don't forget, we can always patch things up after too. Get you back on the mats.
That is the plan. That is the plan. And then his next fight, we'd like to do a lot of these sessions a lot earlier. But my goal and role is just to provide support and help him get a win.
So Francesco, tell us a little. Francesco, because people, I keep calling him Francisco because apparently I went to California secretly. But Francesco, tell us a little about your fight coming up. Like, who are you fighting? Where's it going to be? And like the mental process. You were telling me a little bit about it in the room, but like your motivations going into it.
So, first of all, thank you for having us. The treatment was great. It was absolutely amazing. I feel amazing. So I will be fighting this guy that comes from a gym called Web, and it's down in South Jersey, which apparently is gonna bring some interesting weapons to the table, for which I believe we've been preparing real well. And yet, my preparation for this fight started roughly a couple months ago. But my experience begins way earlier than that. I have roughly, I want to say, most of my life. I've been involved in martial arts most of my life, and starting with karate, kickboxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu when I moved to the States, and yeah, now we're at that phase where it's about recovery. That's where we're here, and just mental tuning, making sure that I show up feeling that I need to believe that I could do what I'm about to do, because it's inherently a violent sport. And unfortunately there's that aspect of the sport that it just like there's like violence in that, but at the same time it's like you gotta find the calmness to be able to go there and rationalize everything, making sure that it's not just a slugfest. We're not just going there to hurt each other. There's strategy, there's timing, there's rhythm, there's position, there's speed. There's so many components that you have to be ready for and remember to bring to the table, because if not, it just becomes like a good old bar fight. So that's where I'm at right now, mentally wise. I'm trying to make sure that I get there and I stay calm, and I find the openings when they present themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that I can relate to what you're saying, because on the outside it just seems like it's just this wildness, but there are little moments in it, and I feel like Doc could relate to this, like a treatment's like that. Like, people just see us talking to the person and it's having this like conversation, but even in those moments you're diagnosing, and there's kind of like a little bit of strategy. So that's something I've noticed in my experience, and so I can relate. But we're lucky. All we have to do is figure out something. There's no fists or elbows or feet flying back at us.
No,
So.
we do fight. Our opponent is illness and disease.
Yeah,
I say
exactly.
that was my catch line when we went to the Battle of the Bayshore. So I talking to kind of relate, and yes, I did practice martial arts a long time ago. It's been a while since there was ever any competition or conflict. But now what we do is essentially just fight back pain, fight neck pain, fight fertility, fight women's health issues. I like to call ourselves disease ninjas. So it's a catchphrase, but it's the truth, right?
It's news to me.
Well, in some circles. So, perfect example, when Antoinette and I went down to the career day at Point Pleasant Borough School, my friend wanted us to come down there because, frankly, the whole law enforcement, lawyer, other chiropractics is I need somebody there to kind of excite the kids. So they said acupuncture, well, what's acupuncture? And the kids come up, what's acupuncture? And you got to explain to the kids, well, I'm a disease ninja. I'm like, I'm trained in martial arts. We know the same points. We don't use them to hurt people, but we do hurt disease. We hurt, stomach issues, and we get rid of it. It is in a way a strategy, maybe less violent on the surface, but deep down on the tissue level, guess what? Your muscles are taking a beating.
Still like problem solving. You still,
Absolutely,
it's
yeah.
not just about just like, okay, I do this here, you should be good. You have to make sure that, okay, but like before we started, you guys asked me like, what hurts? What gives you issues? Is there anything that is like lingering pain? If I said that this, like something was hurting more than something else, you guys would address that. You would make sure that the area would receive extra care. So there's definitely a lot of that. You have to strategize how you're gonna place your needles.
Yeah, same thing that we were talking about, like, you're saying that this guy is good with grappling, so it's like that's what you gotta strategize and prepare for. So that makes a lot of sense. So what do you usually do, like, to prepare yourself, like, for the fights? Like, do you spend a lot of time with friends, like family? Like, is your family in Italy or here?
My family is here.
Okay.
Like my most
Like mom,
my
dad,
closest family. Yeah.
Okay.
So to prepare for a fight, first of all, I have a team. I'm lucky enough to have a great team, small but really knowledgeable. And I happen to have one of, in my opinion, the best minds in New Jersey. I just believe that Tom brings that layer of, he understands things that most people don't understand or have a hard time explaining. He, coming from an engineering background, he just understands things like really like physically, like a building. He's like, because this position is like how it is, the only way to beat it is by removing the fulcrum or positioning yourself in a way where the pressure has no meaning. So that's what I'm really like. He's one of my greatest kind of like, he provides a lot of support. Then I have other people I'll mention, like Coach Mike Ettinger, Aaron Kurzer, Rami, like Sid, all these other guys that, of course, you guys, maybe they'll come in future times. But these guys all kind of provide useful intel. Because the best thing about what we have is that we're all really well versed in specific aspects of martial art. Who's really a good grappler? Who's a good striker? Who's a good southpaw? Who's a good submission artist? And just like in any like medical field, you have to. It's so helpful to have people that are really good at something. Like there's maybe like people that are really focused on like acupuncture on your lower limbs, and maybe there's people that are really good at acupuncture on your back and this and that, you know. Or fertility, yeah, of course, anything.
It takes this team of different specialists. Like I would liken it to a video game where you have have you heard of Marvel Rivals?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
quite familiar with Marvel Rivals. I think this conversation is going to go in that direction. I freaking love that game. I put hours. Yeah. Who do you mean?
Play Marvel Rivals?
Oh yeah. What are you using?
So this is a good like segue because he's asking what I would main, what my specialty would be. I definitely like playing. Like when I'm angry at people, I play Scarlet Witch. Because I'll run around and I'll just turn my hand, I'll just melt people, and you're dead, you're dead, you're dead. And then I like the Thing because he just punches people, and like then there's Human Torch. He sits in the sky and blows like fireballs at people. Cloaking, like all the healers. But when you get the reason I brought it up is because the team, this is based off another game, is a hero shooters. You have 3 classes, which you could literally put in MMA. You have a striker, and then you have the wrestler, and then you have the submission artist, the jiu-jitsu guy. You need to have all 3 on your team, or else you're at a loss in the MMA, right? So we have the striker, we have the submissions, and then we have Aaron, who's the wrestler. And like even just having the 3 of us in one room, we get like I'm not sure how many days it's just the 3 of us. Like we'll go in every morning, it'll just be the 3 of us, and we walk out exhausted, and we walk out learning something new.
That's good. On the outside looking in, though, I would say as a spectator, you see people, and you said it is violent, it is brutish. But what I explain to people, the difference between is that despite that, you still have to think in a situation like that. And that's what I think makes fighting, martial arts, MMA, grappling, wrestling, whatever, that combat sport, I think on another level than all of the sports, because I don't think you're getting punched in baseball. You're not getting submitted in basketball, or maybe in football you're getting tossed around, but still it's very structured. So could you speak to that psychological aspect or strategy on how to keep a clear head when you're getting pummeled or mounted or whatever, in a bad situation?
So the thing is that every game plan should be structured around that type of worst case scenario. Like you will never go in a fight expecting not to get grazed, or like you're just gonna be the same as when you enter the cage. The way you already know that something's gonna happen, something won't go exactly according to plan, and that's why you train. That's why you kind of in the gym, in and out every day, as many times as you need, because you gotta mentally prepare, and you gotta make sure that what you can see, you can react. Then there are things that you cannot react, and that's just any sport. They're just things that is like you cannot deal with, because it's the present. It's just what happens in the present. There's something that you really kind of there's no way you can like foresee the of course the future.
It's too variable.
But how do you deal with damage? Well, you have to keep calm. You have to make sure that you address the damage in the moment. Of course, you're the only one who really knows how bad the damage is, and you gotta address accordingly. If it's something you could take, then you just reset back in. If it's something that maybe shocks you more to the core, then that's what time you use your footwork, retreat, reassess, make sure that you don't reinitiate a situation at a disadvantage. You want to make sure that if something is not going like you want, maybe you're hurt, maybe you're wobbled, something didn't go your way, you take your time, reassess, maybe try to bring the fight somewhere where you can recover. Like, for example, in my experience, I being close to the cage, I got hit in such a way where I lost my balance, but not due to the hit, because of the cage stopped my foot from stepping back, which caused me to almost fall backwards. And that means the guy can close the distance even more and look for a finish, to which I have to quickly think, okay, I have to find a way to close in. Because if I allow this guy that has more power than me to keep that type of distance, he's going to be able to do even more damage. He's going to build momentum that I might not be able to take back. So that's when you strategize, okay, I have to go for a takedown. This way, I'll close the distance, and this way I can kind of make the judges think that I'm still attacking, I'm still being the one winning.
So there's something in that that's interesting, is that you never have a time to be emotional.
No.
It's like something's happening, and you're just in problem-solving mode immediately, which in certain aspects people might get argue is unhealthy, but I think that's one of the benefits of martial arts, is that, because think about it, one of the most visceral things you can do to cause an emotional reaction when somebody's hitting.
Yeah.
If I hit you, right, you're going to feel something, even if it's a joke, something good like that. So for you to be in that world, like for 15 minutes, predetermined time, everybody knows, like there has to be a good way for you to shut that mechanism off, which I feel is one of the benefits of martial arts. All of us being martial arts, I think we can all agree, that we can deal with stress in other situations better. So like Tom, Francisco, like for the mothers out there, because we do have a lot of mothers who are watching, who get nervous about the thing that you guys said, like the violence aspect, right? So like, yeah, like for example, how does your mom deal with it? Like
Italian mom?
Italian mom, she every time she's like, this is the last, right? Well, how's my mother dealing with it? Well, she knows how much work I put in. So if I wasn't her son, she'd probably be like, oh no, he's gonna be good. He's fine. He'll do it. He'll do fine. But because I'm his son, like in her head, she can only see the worst case scenarios, and it's normal. That's kind of what mothers do. They worry. They care. So she will never be like, yeah, keep doing it. You're doing great. Like she's like, you're doing great, I know how talented you are, but I wish you could just do freaking chess. You know, like,
Does that affect you?
that's why I tend to not bring people close to me, like to fights, because I need to be like around other fighters. I need to be around people that are not that kind of like. If I see my mom and I see her fight, I'm like, man, I don't want her to see me getting punched. Of course.
It's like a different energy.
Yeah.
It's not conducive to his energy of needing to win. It's like a red and blue. Like you're not gonna be able to have the two of them
Absolutely.
together.
It's contextual. It's like that energy in certain contexts is lovely. It's fantastic. That's why we
Yeah.
love mothers, right?
It's
They're always
nurturing.
caring, right? But it's like you're on a goal where that nurturingness is actually pulling you away from
Yeah,
it.
it's kind of
It's
like
hard to
in a way.
navigate that.
Now, if his mother was like, you know, like like
It's the Spartan thing.
It would
On your
be-
with the
yeah.
shield around it, right?
It's different, you know. But that would be a better place. But like,
Yeah.
it's not the case. So he needs to balance these energies out.
How about yourself? I mean, I think what are you comfortable sharing in terms of that? Because I feel like that's an important thing that people don't usually see, like the mind.
My mother never was like, oh, my poor baby, please don't get hurt. She was more so like, is this? I think it comes more economic. You know,
Yeah.
she's like, are you? Because she already has a grown up. Like I have a brother who, you know, lives on a farm and owns a farm and all that. So she's more concerned about like my long term survivability
Right.
rather than me.
Houses put money in your pocket.
Yeah. So she's like,
The Dr. Bay school, apparently.
yeah. So like it's a different energy. Hers is more focused on my long-term condition, and she's not saying, "Oh my God, you're gonna get hurt." Like I think she knows like I can deal with getting hurt. That would be and going back to like the emotion stuff. Like I got hit in the face pretty hard. Like, my first response was nice, and then I'm gonna try to get you back. That's my problem. Is like I'll have an energy where if I get hit, I'm like competitive, so I want to get you back, and I think that kind of can affect people's strategy because now I'm more focused on coming in and trying to hit you as opposed to playing it safe and strategic. And that going back into the other topic we're having is you need to be able to think of all these possibilities. It's like MMA is like an equation with a ton of variables, and we're trying to lock in like certain constants, you would call it, so it simplifies the equation. So like if I know like I can, if I'm a grappler, if I keep the game on the ground, then it's, you know, the entire variability starts to shrink, and then my adaptability becomes even more so that I can adapt to this situation a lot better. He's going to try to get up, obviously, so let's keep it down.
So I have a question for you, Francesco, for your fight. Are you fighting another striker? Are you fighting a grappler? Because sometimes what we see is that grapplers will end up right to the floor, or some guy's standing up and the other guy's on his back. What kind of match do you think that this is going to be? Is it going to be toe to toe? Is it going to be a little bit of everything? What do you think?
So unfortunately, I don't have as much data as I used to have for one of my previous opponents. Yet I've had footage, and I could tell that this guy will probably tend to orbitate around the ground. He will probably try to take me down, take me to the cage, usual kind of amateur MMA stuff where, especially in New Jersey, where they really, I don't want to say they give an advantage, but they, like the grappler tends to be like in a better position, because in New Jersey, there's no ground and pound to the head, for better or worse, you know.
Oh, okay, so legally you can't do that. In the
You-
rules set,
yeah.
you can't do
You-
that.
in the rules
Okay.
set
My
in New
friend
Jersey.
Ronnie lost the fight because of that BS rule. Like he was
Fair enough.
winning and they disqualified him.
Right, he didn't even.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm just saying, even if
So is this gonna be, he's gonna be on his back and you're gonna be standing, like, is it gonna be
No,
one of
it's-
those? Are you comfortable on the ground when you go? Are you there yet? Do you wanna approach that, or do you feel like?
He doesn't think he is, but he is.
Well, let me ask you, if he goes on his back and he's gonna crab crawl against you, are you gonna tee off and kick him in the head? Are you allowed to do that?
No, you're not
The
allowed.
rules are, are you gonna
Is
sit
this
and wait?
like
I could
You
probably
can kick him in the legs?
The legs.
Smack
Okay,
in the
take his
hamstring.
base out, right?
And-
Yeah, just it's annoying. Like it's demoralizing to have a man go stand back up. Like that's what Francesco is going to do. If this guy ends up getting, like, if he takes or Francesco takes him down, Francesco's not gonna stay down.
I think of like Iceman versus the Nogueiras. Like I see Chuck standing and one of the Nogueiras
The
on
guy,
all fours,
yeah.
and it's like,
Get
screeching
up.
ball. We want
It
a
doesn't
little more
look good.
action, but
Yeah.
will you kind of lose your cool, go down and try and take him out? You're gonna stand up.
I think if he has to adopt that type of strategy, means that he's really out of answers in the striking,
And then
which
they go for the judges.
puts me, honestly, I'm winning. Cause like, if that's the only way for you to like continue this fight, just to like butt scoot forward,
Mhm.
means that probably before that, I was having good success and this is your only answer.
Okay.
So honest, I would probably keep, kick him in the butt.
Will they ask
be
him to
1
stand
point
up again?
Yeah, if
Like
Francesco
after a
doesn't
certain amount of
engage,
time, that's in the rule
Yeah.
set?
if Francesco doesn't engage, he'll have to stand up.
Like I've done in the first fight.
Yeah,
many
what
times.
what I anticipate, I know the guy's gym, I know his background. He literally fought one of our teammates
Mhm.
before who didn't have grappling experience, so our teammate got knee barred. So us understanding that, I've already covered most of his holes in the game. It's just a matter of Francesco not engaging with that type of behavior, which the guys basically what I feel is going to happen is if Francesco is going to pop him a couple times, and then he's going to say, "Fuck this! I need to." Can I curse?
You're fine, yeah. This is a Notcast, not a podcast.
Oh, okay. So he said he's just gonna decide like I need to take this to a grappling realm. Francesco will not allow that. And again, me being a brown belt in jiu-jitsu with about 10 years of experience, plus I'm heavier than him, he's hard to control. I'm probably arguably a better grappler than whatever this guy he's facing is. And he's very hard to control.
But you have a wrestling background too, right?
Yeah,
So that makes it
exactly.
comfortable on the floor. Let me ask you another question as a fighter and a striker. Do you want to challenge yourself and see yourself get better on the floor, or you're kind of comfortable where you are? Do you want to grow and become more of like a submission fighter? Or are you happy where you are? Is that something during your next few fights you want to kind of evolve into that path, or?
As a practitioner of martial arts, I would like to make all my weapons to be lethal. It sounds kind of bad, but it's like I would want to be
Yeah.
like the best I could be everywhere. But I do not believe that during a fight is the time to do that.
Right.
During
Yeah.
the fight, you're just gonna try and win
Yeah.
whatever way, shape, or form. Like if it's in,
For the future?
Yeah.
Your future
for the
fights.
future, if I were to look into leveling up in my grappling, I'll probably do like grappling competitions.
Okay, strictly
leading up,
grappling to work your
making
way
sure,
up.
making sure that I can really just focus on that. Because unfortunately, MMA, there's so much that if you train everything, you'll get good at everything slowly but steadily.
Right.
But let's say you have a game where it's very big on striking, but your grappling is lacking. That's when I would say keep the striking, like put it on hold, train once or twice, but then really invest in the grappling, because that's the only way. That's to really have significant improvement in reasonably short periods of time.
Yeah, there's like a yin and yang to that too. So you only have two realms of fighting, which is grappling and striking. Grappling can be divided even further. Striking can also be divided even further. But you either start with one specialty. You can be jack of all trades, like a lot of MMA fighters are, but there's going to be a realm of your specialty. Are you a guy who can strike? Are you good at takedowns? Are you good at submissions? I've gotten to brown belt, and I realized, and my friend made a joke. He said, when you started doing MMA, you played "Losing My Religion" a lot. So I was like, all right, like, the song.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay. I don't think I was subconsciously thinking that, but in a way, I have learned enough of that to the point that you don't need most of it. Like I learned a lot of sport jiu-jitsu. You don't need most of it in MMA. I did a ground and pound round with one of my friends, and I realized I need to stop doing sport jiu-jitsu. So I started doing the striking. And the way that grappling is in MMA, it's a suit of armor. So if I have a grappling foundation, I can always manage to, if I can just close the distance and hug you, then a majority of the fight could go my way. And if two grapplers fight, it ends up being a striking match.
Colby and Usman, Burns and
Because they shut each other's grappling down and have to strike. Now, if one person is a grappler and one person is a striker, the grappler usually wins, should the striker not be able to keep him down. The striker will need enough grappling to hold it back.
to keep it.
So grappling is one of the more essential foundations that's why it's better off to learn it as a child. Then Francesco learned striking, but then he also did wrestling when he was young. So he has this nice even playing field, but the striking specialty was there, and you'll notice Francesco will prefer to strike, but he's worried. He's got this like back of his mind, I need to perfect my grappling. I need to work on my wall defense and my takedowns. He doesn't feel like he's there yet, and that's that yin and yang. You have to put one away and build up the other. For me, I need to work on my striking. For him, he wants to work on his grappling. You know, and that's kind of like where we're at.
Yeah, which brings me to like the coaching aspect, because both of you, like, you're actively coaching and you express like.
He is too.
Yeah. Can you? Oh, you're permanently coaching too. So can you like? 'Cause I feel like that changes your perspective, right? Because people who just want to win, like just want to win, right? They have a different vibe about, different energy, right?
Yeah.
They don't look at the techniques a certain way. It's kind of like, you know, break or be broken. Right? Training partners are kind of treated a certain way. Not all of them, but a lot. Like
Those are the
a significant-
performers.
Right. But when you're thinking about performing but also coaching, there's a subtle shift change in the mentality. Can you guys talk to that? Because again, you know, a lot of people who don't know, like a lot of moms out there.
You're the more experienced coach. I'll say something.
One way I did theater in high school. You
Okay.
have performers, you have the stage crew, and you have the director. You have teammates who are going to help the performer, and then you have the director telling everybody what to do. The guys with the mentality that you're talking about of kill or be killed, and I don't care about all this, I just want to win. That mentality is quite necessary, and a coach actually wants to encourage that type of mentality, because at the end of the day, most MMA fighters, especially world champions, are delusional. They're crazy and delusional. They think that they're like God's gift on earth. They think they can fight anybody. But then comes the coach who can kind of temper that and also give them the people that will kind of wake them up. But the coach, in my opinion, I make this analogy a lot for what it takes to win. And I think that that's the key, is that the coach is not everything. Like you look at the Jiu-Jitsu people like Danaher Death Squad, they put it all on Danaher. Yet they forget that it's the teammates that help them grow just as much. That's why B team exists, because half the team, the performers, so delusional, they think, oh, I just need Danaher, I don't need you. You're the B team, I'm the A team. Thus the team was born. Thus we have a label, and we go to a gym called B team.
Yeah.
As a coach, there's a theory, and I think it's the most applicable, is that it's not the guy's talent, it's not his genetics, it's not his mindset, it's his support system. If you go to the carnival and you play that water gun game, where you squirt the water into the hole and you make the thing go up, just imagine you point all of those other squirt guns at one hole. How fast is that thing gonna go up? Francis Marshall under Kurt Pellegrino.
I just talked to Chris.
18 years old, 19 years old, something, already fighting in the UFC. When I was a white belt, I've been doing this for 10 years, I was watching him at the age of like 14, 15, watching this kid, maybe he was, I don't even know, I don't even know what age he was. I knew he was a young kid was already winning state championship wrestling things. And then he started MMA. Now, and I'm going to like Dante Rivera's, and I'm watching Francis Marshall walk in alone, and they're like, we need this guy, we need him here. You know, like and it all came from Kurt's support, Francis's father and his mother, and all of the friends around him, his teammates at Kurt Pellegrino MMA, his teammates at Inferno, the people that he would go and train, and everybody pointed their eyes at him and made sure his deficits recovered, his mistakes were fixed. That's the key.
It takes a village.
It takes a village, it literally does. And Francesco, if I hadn't taken him to the grocery store yesterday, who knows if he'd have the proper nutrition for the rest of the week to feel
Is there
nourished.
Italian mother's not feeding him at that time?
Well, he's living at home in college, man.
It's different.
your prospects of nutrition when you're in college
Oh,
are
I
not
see,
very
okay.
high.
Yeah, unfortunately, grease trucks are not.
Yeah.
Grease trucks
So you
of,
take them to a nice little
Rutgers.
farmer's market, everything's nice and cheap, all the fruit is nice and plump, and I think he's ready to go. I make sure any deficit that I see as a coach, it's not just me giving him a technique, it's him taking him to a grocery store, taking him to acupuncture.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
it's interesting because it's like I always felt like if you think of the coach, is everybody always sees the performer, right? To use your theater analogy, like you said, it's like it's not really just a performer because if the coach and everybody wasn't there, it wouldn't look nearly as good.
It would.
And so it's kind of like it's a weird kind of I don't want to say like VR thing, but it's like you're kind of putting your knowledge, your experience in him while he's performing. So it's kind of like a combined.
As much as I can, it feels
Yeah.
like a Pokemon match
Yeah.
as well. When I'm cornering and I'm fighting, I'm telling him to do something, I'm watching him do it.
Yeah.
And it works, and I'm like, oh, or like grappling wise. I remember he was caught in like a triangle or something with some guy, and I'm wrestling with someone else. I glance over, I go, get your left knee on his J point, and I wrestle and I turn back around, he's out of the triangle. So I'm like, okay, little things like that, and he'll just take the cues and win, and that's the key.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, did you have any comments about that?
Coaching, so I'll try to be brief, but the thing, my whole story with martial arts is that I had a great instructor back when I was really, really young. And I was, as a kid, you're maturing, you don't know a lot of things about, you don't know anything as a kid. You're still kind of discovering who you are, but all you know is that you have a lot of energy that you don't know how to use. And you don't have that kind of confidence that maybe some people tend to learn earlier. So I just found this kind of figure that was able to instill in me like a lot of discipline, and it was able to kind of give me a place that I was looking forward to go, and it created like a great environment where kids were kids, but those 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, we had to be like straight as an arrow, and we had to push, and we had to stretch, and if it hurt, we had to keep on stretching, because we knew that that's the only way to reach your like kicks to touch the head, to get your points to win. And I kind of like took that as a kind of like blueprint for who I would like to be. Like I would like to be the type of person that helps people reach their best self, or better versions of themselves. And that's kind of cliche, but that's kind of the goal for me. The whole reason
That's a good point, because my son's doing basketball now, and a lot of things with youth sports is like you just get some guy who's there, a coach, a father, volunteer, God bless them, but don't know the first thing. And then my son didn't advance in baseball because his coach was more concerned about his travel team. He didn't learn basic skills. They didn't want them to grow. They were just punching a clock. So when I was looking for basketball training for my son, I approached the coach, and he said, I learned how to be a coach by having the worst coaches.
Yes.
Right? And it's really about growth, like giving the kid that little bit that helps him. And you can see, in basketball, my son can grow even within one practice when he shifts his technique and gets the bucket or catches the tennis ball while he's dribbling, and you grow. So yes, it takes a village. Coaching is important. But I want to personally wish you good luck, buona fortuna on your fight.
Grazie.
And thanks for joining us, and we'll
Details?
catch you next week. Oh yes, please fill us
Please.
out where we can find
Yeah.
you.
Instagram handles, the fight, where they can watch it, tickets, all that lovely stuff.
My Instagram is Francesco_Merolli. That's my name and last name.
MEROLLI.
Oh, another cousin?
Marola.
Oh, really?
Ancionetto Marola, yeah.
Oh my God. And the fight will be I Play America Friday the 28th of March, and the fight should start around 7 o'clock p.m.
Yep,
Any-
this is Thursday.
Any streaming available for people who?
I believe if you look up for That Series 59 and tickets, that's the way to get them. Or you could probably even show up and buy them on the spot. Or if you want to watch them online, same thing. Look them up on Google, and the link for the ticket should pop up somewhere.
Yeah, and he's such a nice guy, he won't tell you that if you buy online to mention his name, Francesco, not Francisco, Francesco, to put him in, so they give him the proper credit, so then Tom doesn't have to take him to the farmer's market.
They also, if you're going to stream online, I believe it costs $15 or $25. just anytime you buy an in-person ticket or you buy an online ticket, it's going to want you to register whose fighter you're actually trying to watch.
Francesco.
Yeah, and Francesco, please. And my Instagram handle is Tom Wick BJJ, just like John Wick. And
If you saw him roll, you know why.
Yeah, I wanna see it.
and I think that's it. But,
Do you have anything coming up, or anybody on Odyssey have anything coming up?
Aaron has a fight April 26th,
Okay.
something like that. So look out for Aaron Kurzer. He'll probably be on this podcast as well. I'm gonna try to bring all the Odyssey people. One day I'm gonna get a van and I'll be able to put everybody on the team in the car and I'll be able to drive everybody. We'll
Nice,
get
we'd
like a
love to
little
have
short
you.
bus.
All right.
Tune in next week. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I like turret characters. I like Groot.
You like
I like
Punisher,
Namor.
huh?
I